Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and tonight I just finished watching episode 6 of Ahsoka, and wow. Okay, first thing I want to say is that this episode was great, but for completely different reasons than last episode. If last episode was the epic nostalgia trip, seeing all of our characters that we have loved for years and seeing all this stuff being translated into live action for the first time, and it was great and it was awesome, and that was wonderful for its own reasons. This was the complete opposite, and what I mean by that is that it was amazing in the sense that everything was new, and sure, we did see characters we've seen before, but things have changed so much. We have so many more questions than we had a week ago regarding like what is going on, what has happened since then. Like so much. It's amazing how like just by like just going to this one planet, it's like, okay, get ready for like a dozen different theories and questions, and you don't know what's happening, and it feels so new and fresh, and some of the rumors were true indeed. Right away, a lot of the rumors came true. So by the way, if if you've managed to avoid getting spoiled by this show so far, like in the months before the show came out, just try to keep avoiding them because a lot of them are coming true. But anyways, just this episode felt so fresh because there's so much to explore now, and you feel like you know exactly where it's going, but then it kind of throws little tiny curveballs at you, and you're like, well, I don't know where that's going. Like, what does that mean? That could be anything. Okay, let's just jump into it. Let's jump into the episode. Okay, so Professor Huyang and Ahsoka are going through hyperspace, and they're headed to Peridia. They're following Sabine there, and this is really their only appearance in this episode. And Huyang talks about how he has these like histories of the ancient galaxy. So like he's got like, he's really, really old. So he's got stories from a long, long time ago. And she asked to tell him one of the stories, and he's like, okay, a long time ago, and he does like in a galaxy far, far away. He does like the opening, and that's how his story starts. So now, you could sort of recontextualize this entire franchise and be like, what if this is all just a story that one day Professor Huyang is telling people? People kind of had that theory about R2-D2, like he's telling this story, and that's really what Star Wars is. I'm thinking it's Professor Huyang now. Anyways, so we don't come back to Ahsoka at all because we have a lot of catching up to do with pretty much all of the other major characters. We are entirely focused on Sabine and Morgan Elsbeth and Shin and Balin, and Thrawn shows up, and they see Night Sisters there. Oh man, so they go to this planet. The first major lore thing that they confirm is that the Dathomarian witches come from this other galaxy. They had used... She says they rode the whales. I don't know what that means specifically, but somehow they were using the Purgle to come to the Star Wars galaxy, and that's what it is. So there you go. The ancient people who built all this, the people who had the star map, obviously, like, it was all Dathomarian witches, and they go there, and there's a crew of like 3, and these ones look like the Clone Wars. They got the white face, and they got the red hoods and the robes and everything. So like these look like Clone Wars Dathomarian witches, which kind of just begs the question as to why does Morgan Elsbeth not look like that? I feel like it's because maybe she wasn't originally intended to be one, and they kind of just made it happen now. Because now I'm like, why don't you have, all pale white face like they do? I don't know. When they talk, they have, like Mother Talzin, they have like the echoey, spooky, haunty voice, like, ooh, like when they say a word, it's like a echo happens. So I don't know what Morgan Elsbeth's deal is, if she's just not as powerful as they are, or if she's just like, she's human and they're not quite human. I don't know what's happening there, but in any case, we have like legit Clone Wars looking Dathomarian witches now, so that's pretty cool. And they're from this planet Peridia, and they explain that this is where the Purgle go to die. This is a graveyard, and we finally get more hints as to what exactly Baylan is after, because Baylan Skoll does not seem to care much at all about Thrawn and the New Republic and this whole war that they're gonna start. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's just kind of vaguely referenced some great future that he can see and something calling out to him and stories that he heard as a child, and we get a lot more of that about how, like, in the Jedi Temple he heard these stories, and Shin's like, I never heard those stories. What are you talking? What's going on? And he's like, oh, I can sense the beginning here on this planet. It's calling out to me, the great power. Maybe the witches are trying to leave this planet because they're scared of this much greater power than them, So it's still very vague, but we're getting like the little drops. It's like, what is Baylan after? What does he sense here? What exactly is happening? We don't know, but he senses something, and it feels like set up. Like it's funny that they introduced Thrawn really early on in this episode, and then Baylan is over here talking about something that seemingly is more serious than Thrawn, because Baylan's like, yeah, Thrawn's gonna go start a war, maybe he'll gain some power. He's like, that's temporary power. I'm talking about real power. So it's funny that we're introduced to Thrawn as like the big bad of the show and of like the franchise for now, and Baylan's already like, but there's something bigger here, so I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what he's looking for, but I'm surely intrigued. Speaking of Thrawn, I thought he looked amazing. Like here's the truth, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna like get all grumble about this, but it's the truth. It is difficult for blue-skinned aliens and a bunch of different kinds of aliens to look good on screen, okay? Especially if we've already seen them look a certain way in animated form. Now you can look towards certain things like the Guardians of the Galaxy films for like your classical, like, this is an alien with blue skin, in live action, and those movies are kind of more cartoony and goofy, whereas like Thrawn is supposed to be taken as a serious threat. So I was always kind of worried. I was like, well, is Thrawn gonna look a little goofy? Is he gonna kind of look like Yondu? Because it is just a guy with blue skin, right? I will say the way that they did the eyes works so well that it takes away any kind of goofiness you could say about the blue skin, and so live action Thrawn, I thought he looks great. Obviously he sounds great because he did the voice in Rebels, so obviously he sounds great. But yeah, so I am very impressed with the way Thrawn looks and sounds and talks, and he's got some kind of deal with these Dathomarian witches, and they're emptying the catacombs or something, and they're loading up it looks like a bunch of old witch caskets onto the ship. Are they gonna bring these witches to life like they did in the Clone Wars? Are they gonna put their magic in there and their bodies come back to life and they have an army of zombie witches now? Is that the plan? I don't know what the plan is. But the other thing that Thrawn has, and I don't know what to think of this. So the Chimera, his super Star Destroyer, or is it just a normal Star Destroyer? Anyways, the Chimera, it was badly damaged when the Purgle took him and Ezra off into this galaxy, and now we see that it's been repaired with a bunch of gold metal of some kind, and so I imagine, obviously they're stuck here. They have to make do with what they got, so they got some kind of gold metal that they repaired their ship with. And we see a whole bunch of stormtroopers here whose armor is mismatched and miscolored, and it's got cracks in it that are filled with the gold stuff. And this is stuff that was in the rumors, or the leaks, where they just filled it in with this gold material, and so they all look really cool. And my first instinct upon seeing all these different looking stormtroopers, I was like, oh man, Hasbro must be so happy right now, because Hasbro is going to be able to take the mold for your standard stormtrooper and repaint that thing like 6 or 7 different ways, because we saw so many variations of Thrawn's stormtroopers here that they're gonna be able to sell like all right, here's one with the gold cracks. Here's one that has like the dark mask there. Here's one that has like some of this red rope on him for some reason. Like they're just, Hasbro's gonna be able to like pump these things out, and it's and I'm definitely gonna end up buying a handful of those. The other thing, we see some commander bodyguard named Enoch, who was also in the leaks. You know, again, watch out for those leaks because they're very much turning true. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, my first thought when we see this Enoch character, he looks interesting. He's got like this very strange gold-faced mask. He's like part stormtrooper, but the mask part is definitely different. It's like a humanoid-looking face. And he, you know, his voice is all like, you know, mysterious sounding. We don't know what his deal was. Part of me was like, is that going to be Ezra? But no, he's not, by the way. Spoilers. So we don't know what his deal is. He looks cool. He looks strange and all mysterious. But my first thought was like, this is going to end up being Merrick version 2. This show has already had a Merrick, you know, the Inquisitor that everyone had all these theories about, these crazy outlandish theories, and now I see this guy and I'm like, oh god, the internet's gonna do it again. You know, we're gonna have another Merrick, another cool, interesting looking, mysterious character who's probably just a new character. He's probably not anyone's secret. It's not gonna be some big reveal, but I can already tell you the internet is gonna internet, and they're gonna they're gonna come up with the wildest ideas of who this Enoch guy could be, when he was probably just some commander who got badly hurt and now he wears that mask and his name was Enoch, and that is it. I'm betting you that's all it is. Anyways, so they let Sabine go and try to find Ezra. That way when she finally does find him, Baylan and Shin can kill both of them. But Thrawn makes sure to emphasize, like, hey, our main goal is to get out of here. So, you know, it's going to take us like 3 days to empty out these catacombs now that our ship is here, which kind of makes me wonder, like, why didn't you guys empty this out? You could have done that sooner. Like, the whole time that we're trying to get here with our giant hyperspace ring, you know, the Eye of Soul, you probably could have been emptying out these catacombs and been ready to go, but you know, whatever. We need a ticking clock, so okay, we got like 3 rotations to empty out these catacombs. So if they don't find Ezra or whatever, we're just gonna leave. We're gonna leave them because, you know, Thrawn's being smart, obviously, and he's like, we gotta go. I'm not gonna sit here. I don't care if Ezra lives or dies. It's great if they kill him. That's awesome, but we gotta go. So that's what they're doing. And he's conferring with the Night Sisters, and I don't know what they're gonna do, but he's like, I need your dark magic once again. So I don't know what Thrawn has been doing with these Night Sisters. I don't know what kind of deal they have. The Night Sisters say something like, the thread of destiny commands that we help you or something. So like, I feel like they're just operating entirely off of visions that they're seeing. They're like, oh, I guess we gotta help this guy. That's what the visions say. So I again, so many questions and theories as to what's going on. Sabine tries to find Ezra, gets attacked by some random people that live there on the planet, I guess. And she eventually does find Ezra inside this like turtle, there's like some turtle crab people, and they live in this little village, and they're like little tiny cartoon characters. It very much felt like Clone Wars Rebels stuff, where you run into these small villagers who are like tiny little innocent, you know, harmless little creatures, you know, but they, you know, they got their own little village, and they wear clothes and they work and they, you know, but they're like tiny little guys. Anyways, so she finds Ezra there. We don't know what he's been up to. He's happy to see her, and they hug and they embrace, and he's like, man, I can't wait to go home. And of course Sabine's gotta be like, well, see, I got here by kind of betraying, you know, she doesn't tell him this, but basically she's gonna have to explain, like, yeah, I betrayed everyone, and I kind of put our whole galaxy in jeopardy by giving Thrawn a way out just to get here. I don't know how we're gonna get back. I doubt that they're gonna just let you on board and let you come back with us. I kind of doubt that's gonna happen. And obviously, I'm sure Baylan and Shin are gonna catch up to Ezra and Sabine soon, and we're gonna find out what happens. Ahsoka is on her way, and I'm sure she'll get there by next episode, but is it gonna be too late? Or are Ezra and Sabine gonna have to try to fight Shin and Baylan on their own? They only got one lightsaber between them, you know, like Ezra gave Sabine his lightsaber. He doesn't have one, so I'm sure she's gonna be like, hey, take this, you're much better at it with it than I am, please take this lightsaber. But then she doesn't have a weapon. I think her blasters got destroyed in that fight she had this episode. So yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do this. I'm sure they're gonna reveal that Ezra's got some cool new tricks, you know. I'm sure he's been doing something on this planet for the last like 8-9 years, right? So in any case, yeah, just man, this show continues to impress and evolve and change, and not a single episode feels like it's just you know, kind of a filler episode, kind of just like an adventure of the week episode. It's like, no, this is a very, very complicated story, and we're not wasting any time. We are constantly making progress. Things are constantly happening, and I love it. You know, like here's my thing. If this were a normal TV show, like a normal like 24 episode season TV show, what we just got tonight, like going to the planet, seeing Thrawn, finding Ezra, all this stuff would have been split up between like 4 episodes. So the fact that we all got it all like in one, like so much stuff happened. Oh man. And we only got 2 episodes left, you know, so I'm definitely getting the sense that like Ahsoka's gonna come to this planet. She's gonna save the day at the last second, and it's gonna be like the Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka team up, and they're gonna take down Shin and Baylan. We're gonna find out what was Baylan after specifically. I don't know. I do not imagine that Shin and Baylan are gonna make it out of this season. You know, I feel like they are gonna be the bosses of this season that we defeat, but Thrawn escapes. You know, so that's gonna ultimately be where we kind of cliffhanger this series of like, okay, we beat the mercenary guys, but Thrawn got away, and maybe we're, you know, are they gonna end up staying stranded on this planet? Are they gonna be able to make it back? I don't know. I have to imagine that Hera is still gonna, you know, be involved in this show for the last 2 episodes, so I hope they make it back, or at the very least we're gonna see Hera reacting to the fact that, you know, the New Republic's gonna be like, a Star Destroyer just showed up, you know, and a whole bunch of weird looking stormtroopers are here. And, you know, the whole thing, of course, is maybe it ends with Thrawn contacting the council that we saw in Mando season 3, being like, all right, I'm back. Hey, Pelion, tell everyone I'm back. We're doing this. Oh, what? Moff Gideon's dead? Good. Less competition. I'm back. We're doing this. It's war, you know? And I think that's how the show is going to end. You know, man, just so much to think about. It's funny that, like, oh yeah, the Dathomirian witches came from another galaxy. That feels like it should be a huge deal, and yet so much other stuff happened, and that's just been like this whole show. It's like things that would be the big event of any other show are just like one of many things in this show. So man, you know, we'll find out what's going on. What is Baylan after? What's up with these stormtroopers? Who is Enoch? Is it actually gonna matter? Probably not. What has Ezra been up to this whole time? Has he just been like hiding from Thrawn, or has he been messing with him? What's the deal with the Night Sister witches? Like, what is their bargain that they made? What are they gonna do with all these carcasses that they put on board? This thread of destiny thing, is that the witches are seeing the future? Is that what that is? Oh man, I'm so happy with this show, guys. Like, every week we just get some cool stuff, and you know, I love that, like, last week's was like full on nostalgic, you know, like, remember Clone Wars? That was cool, you know, like showing us all that stuff, and it made everyone happy. And then this week's like, okay, but the story's gonna move on now, and it's gonna move on a lot, you know, and and one of my things, and I think this is the best way to sum up this series for me, One of my biggest gripes about a lot of TV shows, even streaming series, and some Star Wars series have done this, is that the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, to an audience is to make them feel like you have wasted their time. You know, like they try to keep up with this every week, even if it's only like 20-30 minutes. You have to remember, this is like in their brains. They're thinking about this show throughout the entire week. Some of us are making tweets and Instagram posts and YouTube videos, and we're just like constantly thinking about what could happen next. So the last thing you should do is make us feel like you wasted our time by not giving us any of that forward progression, or at the very least answering some questions, you know? And this show consistently, it gives us forward progression constantly, and it's always answering questions and then giving you new questions, you know, but not like in a dumb lost way, but in a way that's like, oh yeah, there's a plan here, everything's been thought about, they really cared about this, you know. So just I'm so happy with this. You know, and this is just one planet in a new galaxy, you know, and I don't think that this show is gonna go to other planets in this galaxy. Like, I'm pretty sure we're just going to Peridia and then going back. But the fact that we did this now, the fact that it's now been established in a more general way that, like, yeah, we can totally go to a completely different galaxy. The storytelling possibilities for future writers and future content creators in Star Wars and Lucasfilm, it's just it's endless now, even more endless than it was before. So anyways, let me know what you guys think about this episode of Ahsoka. I have so many thoughts and so many questions, and immediately after I'm done recording this, I'm going to come up with all these theories and be like, damn, I wish I mentioned that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what questions you have, because oh man, I love the way that this show has presented itself. Anyways, I'll see you guys later.